strategic housing site in the growth town of Wellingborough, delivering a range of market, affordable, self-build, custom or build housing for older persons, releasing under-occupied stock. The proposal would deliver a children's day nursery for preschool children on site. The proposal would deliver substantial new areas of green space, sports pitch, local and educational play areas, allotments, local parks, community gardens, linear corridors, new footways and cycleways within and connecting to the wider area, providing substantial health, well-being and community social benefits. In this instance, the public benefits of the development outweigh the less than substantial harm to a built heritage asset through the delivery of the second phase of a mixed-use housing, employment and leisure sustainable urban extension on an allocated site on the edge of the growth town of Wellingborough. There are a range of public benefits that weigh in favour of the development in the planning balance, with these being substantive weight to the delivery of a significant number of new homes, substantial affordable housing, economic activity and employment, public realm, open space, ecology, active places, education infrastructure and expansion of existing health facilities. In respect of the overall planning balance of public benefits weighed against any perceived harms from the development would be clearly outweighed by the collective benefits of the development, and so the proposal is acceptable. The proposal would meet the Council's aspiration in delivering a sustainable community with economic, environmental and social benefits to the area, taking all matters into account and balancing the benefits of the development against the harm. Approval is recommended as the positive social, economic and environmental impacts would outweigh any harmful effects of the development. In concluding, there are a wide range of public benefits that weigh in favour of the development on the issues that have been set out in the report. It's recommended that powers be delegated to the Executive Director for Place and Economy to grant planning permission subject to the completion of a satisfactory Section 106 legal agreement which secures appropriate planning obligations to meet the heads of terms set out in Appendix 1 and subject to the conditions set out in this report, including any amendments to those conditions deemed necessary. And should a satisfactory Section 106 agreement securing appropriate planning obligations not be completed by the 30th of September 2025, or any further extension of time be agreed in writing between the applicant and the local planning authority, that it be delegated to the Executive Director for Place and Economy to refuse planning permission. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite speakers, and the first one is Paul Prosser.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for letting me talk this evening. I'm a resident of Glenville Park and moved in June 22. So I've seen phase one develop whilst I've been there. It's allowed for a community to grow from younger years with the nursery at Total Nursery, and now with the Glenville Park Primary School, allowing more and more children to move into the development and families to come together. As a community, we've also managed to create groups that do lots and lots of different things to grow the community and join all the different aspects of people's individual lives. With regards to phase two, I think the additions that are on the plans will always be very, very exciting and will be something that current residents and new residents would look for. We have the orchards that have been explained. They will be very, very, very good. And we've got the allotments that I know a lot of people on phase one are currently very interested in. The new housing just enhances and enlarges the amount of people that will ultimately live at Glenville Park. It's a growing community, one that seems at this time to be very supportive. We've recently had the addition of the shops now that are starting to take their ground, and that also allows for community to come together and to meet with each other during their week here and there. Also, there is now an established football league club for the Nen Sunday League in Glenville Park Football Club. The addition of the sports pitch, the adult sports pitch, will be one that allows the club to then dilute into other areas of football. This would include ladies football, youth football and junior football. We're fortunate at the moment to have the youth and junior pitches at Glenville Park on phase 1, but to have something at the top of that and pyramid it down will allow for that to have a much more sustainable growth and foundation for pushing forward. Also, in addition, with the phase 2 coming are the pathways and the forestry trails and all the other associated items that come with that sort of higher level of Glenville Park. This will then start to link different sections of the residential developments together, allowing them to access further things that currently at the moment we can't get to due to the building works that are going on. So again, enhancing what the community of Glenville Park, and indeed then for Wellingborough, I'm sure, will be able to enjoy as the years and months pass by. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for clarification? Okay, thank you very much. Vicky Jessup next, please. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman, for allowing me the opportunity to speak on this important outline planning application. My name is Vicky Jessup. I'm a newly elected councillor for the Earls Barton ward. I would like to share my concerns for the villages, Little Harrodon, Isham and the surrounding villages regarding the proposed phase 2 development at Glenville Park. The proposal includes 1,000 new homes, employment space and a day nursery. My concern is the impact on traffic. Without the Isham to Wellingborough Improvement Road, commonly referred to as the IWIMP, and also the Isham bypass, traffic through our villages is expected to increase significantly. These communities are already grappling with congestion, speeding, and a growing number of road safety incidents. In particular, residents of Little Harrodon have highlighted to their parish council dangers at key junctions where entering and exiting the village is becoming increasingly hazardous. It's been made clear that without immediate and meaningful improvements to the road infrastructure, the risk to both drivers and residents will only grow. The IWIMP was originally deemed essential before any further development in phases 2 and 3 could proceed. The original planning permission reflected this, stating that no homes should be occupied until either the IWIMP or significant improvements to the A509 were completed. However, the developers now argue, based on their own transport assessment, that phase 2 can move forward without IWIMP. They propose mitigation measures, including upgrades to the Harrodon Road crossroads and the Ockendale roundabout, claiming these will be sufficient to prevent severe traffic impacts. But let's be clear, these assessments were commissioned and funded by the developers themselves. While council highways officers have reviewed and agreed with the methodology, I remain unconvinced. The modelling suggests that only 17 to 20 vehicles per hour would pass through Little Harrodon during peak times. Even if this is accurate, it fails to capture the times when the A509 is blocked or under strain. The applicant's analysis shows that while there is some rerouting of background traffic, the impact on minor roads is not considered severe in technical terms and does not reach the threshold under the National Planning Policy Framework for the development to be refused on highway grounds. As a result, the local highway authority has not requested further assessment. I would argue it is severe and further assessment is critical. Approving a phase 2 without the IWIMP risks undermining the strategic vision for sustainable and balanced growth.
Thank you very much, Vicky. You've had your 3 minutes. Is there any questions for clarification, please? Okay, thank you very much, Vicky. And we go to the next speaker, which is Owen Green. Owen Owen, sorry.
Good evening, Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak ahead of your decision on phase 2 of the Glenville Park development. The proposal builds on the successful delivery of Phase 2, plays a critical role in meeting the housing needs of the area. The site is allocated within the adopted local plan and benefits from a previously granted outline planning permission. The principle of development is well established, and we now have the opportunity to deliver a high-quality, sustainable community. Phase 2 will provide up to 1,000 new dwellings, including 20% affordable housing, which meets policy requirements, space for self- and custom-built homes, and homes designed specifically for older residents, a choice of homes meeting different housing needs across the borough. Over 50% of the site is dedicated to open space. The habitat biodiversity net gain of 25% is more than double the 10% required by government. A new Ridge Park will integrate with the establishing Phase 1 open space, offering views across Wellingborough and beyond. Existing woodland and ridge and furrow features at the heart of the site will be preserved. Harrowden Brook will be transformed into a linear park, a green spine through the development with play parks, allotments and community orchards fostering a strong sense of place and community well-being. But this is not just a housing scheme, it is a sustainable mixed-use extension to the community already forming at Glenville Park. To the south, employment land for more than 280,000 square feet of high-quality commercial space could support 2,000 new jobs. A children's daycare nursery will have space for up to 100 children. A new adults football pitch with changing facilities offers a new home for Glenville Park FC. Upgraded pedestrian and cycle routes, a new bus service and improved links with the wider area support connectivity. Financial contributions address demand for local infrastructure and services, including for education, healthcare, libraries, Redwall Leisure Centre, swimming pools, emergency services and facility upgrades at Wellingborough Town Rugby Club. Traffic modelling demonstrates that Phase 2 does not depend on the delivery of the Isham to Wellingborough Improvement Scheme, but the proposal doesn't prevent it being delivered should the Council choose to bring it forward in the future. We work closely with your highways team to ensure effects on the local network are addressed. Targeted mitigation networks will deliver directly by the developer in a timely way, including a new signalised junction at Great Harrowden to improve safety, allow easier movement at the junction, with pedestrian crossings improving connectivity for both sides of the village, and upgrades to the Ockendale roundabout, with significant widening works to all approaches to improve traffic flow. Phase 2 of Glenville Park is a sustainable, connected and community-focused scheme. It delivers much-needed homes, makes a significant contribution to local infrastructure, green space and community facilities. We respectfully seek your support to take this important step forward. Thank you
very much. Any questions or clarification? Ben?
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to ask if the opportunity has been explored to increase better connectivity into Wellingborough itself. I mean, obviously, I see that we've got the connection on the Knightway junction as well as onto the existing Phase 1 site. But I just note that on Knightway, we've got on Phase 1, there is an existing cycle path which kind of starts and then finishes. And then simultaneously with the new junction on Knightway, has an opportunity been explored to use that as an actual crossing point over onto Muirfield Road to, again, kind of better the connection into the existing town? Thank you.
We've looked in detail at that, both in terms of previous applications and previous improvements associated with the original application. As part of this scheme, all of the junctions have been designed to provide for connectivity, including pedestrian crossings, rather than roundabouts at key points, and that improves pedestrian connectivity. We have the advantage of both the existing facilities, which, as you've already heard, are well established, and the additional facilities. So whilst there's an ability to meet some services on site north of the road, there are connectivity points, and there is funding in the 106 which allows for those to be delivered, and certainly where junctions are delivered directly by the applicant, that ensures that will happen in a timely way.
Thank you, Chair. Just as a follow-up point then on that, are we saying that there is a potential mechanism where those, just those 2 points as an example, that they could be reviewed at a later date, or we're saying that they can't be achieved?
The access junctions will be implemented to serve the development. Those will certainly go in. In terms of other connections, there are a number of network points which, including improvements along Hardwick Road, which will make it easier to get down to that existing network. So there are a whole sequence of improvements. Those are locked into the scheme, as it were.
Any other clarifications? Okay, thank you very much.
Chair.
Can I ask the planning officer to come back with a response on anything?
I think I outlined in my presentation the responses to the points that have been raised by the speakers, particularly in relation to the effects of the effects of the development on the local highway network, and also in relation to the delivery of the ISHM to the IWIMP. It's not needed to bring this phase of the development forward. That has been demonstrated through the modelling submitted as part of the transport assessment. This application needs to be considered on its own merits. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Elgin?
Can I ask you who actually did the model and assessment on the highways?
It was done by ACOM.
Are they our officers or are they an outside body?
It was carried out by ACOM, who are working on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you. Any other questions or anything? No? Okay. For the purpose of debate and in accordance with the Council's Constitution, Meeting Procedure Rules 19.2 and 19.21, I will move the recommendation summarised on page 448, your agenda papers, and it recommends that the powers be delegated to the Executive Director for Place and Economy to A, grant planning permission subject to I, completion of satisfactory Section 106 legal agreement which secures appropriate planning obligations to meet the heads of terms set out in Appendix 1, and 2, subject to conditions set out in this report, including any amendments to those conditions deemed necessary. B, should a satisfactory Section 106 agreement securing appropriate planning obligations not be completed by 30th of September 2025, or any further extension of time agreed in writing between the applicant and the local planning authority, that this is delegated to the Executive Director for Place and Economy to refuse planning permission. Thank you. I'll move this and ask for a proposer. Second, sorry. Thank you. Okay, I'll open up for debate now. David?
Thank you, Chair. Okay. First of all, first thing to say is what has been pointed out, that this is on an allocated site and is part of a planned extension to Glenvale Park, which is already been taken note of in terms of planning policy. That said, Chair, of course, like so many of these reports, it's like the curate's egg. It's excellent in parts. There are a few things I'd just like to touch on, and I hope I'm not accused of nitpicking, but I think there are one or two things just to keep in mind. Obviously, it's a variation. There was a plan outline, the principal development strongly established, and the decision in 2018 established pretty much what you're seeing in the geography. The only difference it being is it's gone from 700 to 1,000 units. So it is important that infrastructure, which does include roads and junctions, should be able to accommodate the growth, both in terms of the original 700, but also in terms of the additional growth. that's being talked about. So I do welcome the work that has gone on with the Ockendale roundabout and also the A509 Aldingbury Road roundabout. But of course, I do invite the developers perhaps to engage with the communities surrounding this development, Little Harrodon, Isham, and Aldingbury, anyway, the various other communities. I don't remember all the villages. Of course, it's very good. We're constantly hearing very welcome news about primary schools and nurseries, and this is brilliant. But little people become bigger people, and the provision of secondary schools in the Wellingborough area is, of course, is under some pressure at the moment. So a larger and more strategic piece of thinking does need to be done, probably with the Department for Education, to provide adequate secondary school accommodation in the Wellingborough area to take account of the growth. Talking of growth, well, there's good news and bad news, Chair. The football pitch has been universally welcomed, as has the increase in sports provision, and that's absolutely terrific. There is a lot of employment uses being suggested, and I heard one of the speakers talking about 2,000 new jobs. Brilliant, I welcome that, but in my former role when I was on the executive of this council, I was always an absolute devotee of having an economic mix of employment opportunities. So not necessarily, there's an awful lot of reliance on warehousing and distribution, B8, in this part of England, for good reasons, for reasons of connectivity and so on, but we ought always to be looking at other economic possibilities as well. So once again, with the developer, perhaps, to think about this as this scheme comes forward. The Enterprise Centre referred to at 7.1.37, very much to be welcomed again, to incubate new businesses and smaller businesses. With the rise of people working from home, it might be quite valuable as well. And again, I welcome the good housing mix and the care and consideration being paid to older residents and perhaps less able residents as well. So that's very good. I just also point out that at 7.7.5, the surface water flooding risk is considered high. There are 2 watercourses in the area which could affect it. And again, with the developer, I'm sure they need to just take all these things into consideration. So in conclusion, Chair, I'm going to support the scheme. I don't think we can do anything else, but there are little areas of concern which I do entreat the developer and the relevant parties to discuss and consider so that the scheme can be as good as it can be. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Ben?
Thank you, Chair. I echo everything that Councillor Brackenbury has said there, really. I think my only additional points onto that is kind of urging the developer to think and demonstrate the potential viability of a better connection and integration with Wellingborough. I mean, I think with looking at the development, there's some great connectivity, paths, greenways within the development itself, which is going to be fantastic for the overall development. But I think it's fairly isolated from Wellingborough, even though it is completely next door. So yeah, I mean, with the points that I raised earlier, more specifically on cycle paths on Knight Way, just looking at the potential viability. I mean, it may or may not stack up, but then also the potential of having a crossing point over Knight Way into Muirfield Road, potentially. Again, it might not be viable, but I think I'd be interested to see how they could interact. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott?
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the Ockendale improvements, the roundabout, and the improvements on the A509. I've seen in the report that there's going to be a delay on those improvements being bought. The A509 will be when there's before 600 dwellings be occupied, and the Ockendale 300th dwelling. I'm just wondering whether officers could explain why there's that delay and why they are in that order. Personally, I would have thought the A509 improvement should come first before the Ockendale. So I'd like some explanation on that if I could.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, would you like to come back on that?
In terms of the reason why there's a slight delay is because the developer, first of all, has to design the improvement works, and we have to also look at the viability of the scheme, and the Ockendale is going to be delivered first because that has the greatest impact, and the Howden Crossroads is being delivered later because you can't deliver the works at the same time. They need to be staggered in order not to cause additional capacity problems on the network, and which could then result in rat running. So that's why one is being delivered before the other, but there is going to be in a sequential order, and the time frame has been agreed with the highway engineers. I don't know if Chris, you have it, or Martin have anything just to say in terms of the timing and delivery of the works. Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie. I think the key thing is a matter of practicality, of being able to, as you said, design up the schemes, and to actually get them onto the ground takes time, but also they need to have sufficient sums to be able to, and monies to be able to fund that work as well. Things run in parallel in that particular respect. So there is a viability element, but also there's a practicality element in terms of, from a standing start, designing these things up. It takes time to do that and to actually implement that and get it on the ground. So there is a time period of something in the region of about a year, year and a half to be able to sort that sort of thing out, to physically get that size of scheme right and safe, designed properly onto the ground in that respect. And as Debbie's indicated, doing it sequentially, so we're not having both sets of works at the same time, makes absolute sense in that particular regard. We feel that Ockendale is more important to do first. Obviously, if members consider that it should be the other way round, we can reorder things. The way that we're phrasing the 106 and working with the developer is so that the details for both are being worked up effectively simultaneously, so that it's not like we're waiting for once Ockendale is sorted out, we're waiting for the other one to be designed up. It's simply a matter of, hopefully we'll get the details effectively done simultaneously, working through the process, so that once Ockendale is finished, we can then move on. Probably a little bit of a gap, give the public a little bit of a break in terms of roadworks and the 509 before the next set of works come in. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Scott?
It does answer the question. However, my concern is that is how they're sequenced at the moment. I appreciate you're the expert, but currently, Little Harrowden, it is impossible to get out of that junction at the moment. If we make the improvements to the Ockendale roundabout first, that's going to increase the flow of traffic up through the A509, which is going to make it even more impossible for residents to leave Little Harrowden. And, I agree it's a lovely place, and I wouldn't want to leave there, but so people have to go to work, and in that time period, as you've indicated, could be a year or so. It's going to make it hellish for those residents, and I'm also concerned that often in these developments we've seen things like these proposed and then they never quite come to fruition, and people in this side of the world know that more than most. So I'd really urge officers to give serious consideration to improving the A509 and access outside of that village first, prior to then looking at the Ockendo. I think it would be preferential.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Ben?
Chair, we're approaching the guillotine for council meetings, which is 3 hours, and so 10 p.m. for
Okay.
this meeting. So
we
need to vote on a new time to end the meeting, which would be to conclude the conclusion of this item that is being considered, and so the conclusion of this agenda. If we go beyond the time that is voted on, we would need to take another vote. Chair, would you like to propose an end time for members to vote upon, which I would recommend could be 30 minutes?
I agree, yeah. So can we have a proposer for a vote to 10:30, please? Yeah, seconder. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. You've got to leave. Okay.
Can I I understand, Councillor.
Okay. We've okay. Okay, so if we're all happy, you all know what you're voting for, we will go for the vote then, so.
Can I just clarify, was that to vote on the item or the time to extend the meeting?
I think we're just going to go straight for the vote. Yeah, straight for the vote.
For the recommendation?
Yeah.
Of the application?
Can I make a quick point that I apologise? So I want to make sure that when you're saying things in a debate, the final decision reflects what you said in the debate. So Councillor Brown put forward a point about the timings of works. The clarification I was just seeking there was in the report before you, and therefore the recommendation, that timing of works is set. The evidence you've heard from the Highways Officer is that the design work will be undertaken concurrently. There didn't seem to be any technical reason why the timing of that works couldn't come forward in a different way. So what I suggest we do is to change the recommendation to give us that scope as officers to do some further work, subject to the approval being granted for the consent, to look at that timing again, so we can make sure that we're doing that. So we're not setting the timing of this meeting, you're delegating further powers to us to engage in that debate with the developer, taking the evidence on board to make sure we can seek to try through best endeavours to get what you're seeking to achieve.
We need to move a proposer and a seconder for the...
Okay, could a proposer and a seconder? Okay, thank you very much.
And a vote, Chair.
Sorry?
And a vote on the current motion that Alex has spoken.
Okay, can we have a proposer?
This is just to vote on the motion for the additional information that Alex has set out, not the vote on the application itself.
Okay, can we show cards, please? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. So we have a vote for 12-4. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, so we'll move to for the vote now for the recommendation, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So, Chair, we'll move to the vote for the recommendation that was put forward prior to the debate, in addition to the motion that members have just voted on.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a proposer for that? Second. All right, let's have the vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. That's 12-4. Right, thank you very much. And it's been carried. So, I think that'll be the close of the meeting at 9:58. Thank you very much.